Soon, whatever.
And I was.
Oh, right here.
What? We're live, everybody.
I think you're, is that it?
Okay, thank you.
Are these the minutes?
I think there's
There's agendas up there.
Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order. Looks like it is 4 o'clock, August 14th. So could we do a roll call? Did you do this, Heather? Right?
Heather, that's me. Present. Chris Chang,
Present.
Rita Clinthorne. Present. Steve Hurt.
Here.
Steve Kern. Absent. Patrick McLaughlin. Thomas Morris.
Here.
Roy Townsend.
Here.
Liz Wiseman. Absent. John Reiser.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Some of. Support that.
Any changes or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's carried, agenda's approved. On item D, time for public comment. This is a time when members of the public can speak up to 3 minutes on any matter. Under preview of the Parks, Pathways and Preserves Committee. Generally take people here in the audience first, then people online. So are there people here that would like to speak at this point in time?
I'd make a comment.
Sure. Go
It's not
ahead.
gonna be 3 minutes.
You can just.
Do I have to stand up and?
Well, no, you can just sit at that table right there, because then.
Because there's a microphone.
There's a microphone there.
Can I stand?
Yes.
Better?
Sure.
Because I'm better standing, right?
Okay, just state your name and where you live and all that fun stuff, so we have that for the record.
Sure. My name is Jim Hartwell. I live in Scio Township. I live in the preserves off of Joy Road. I'm right on the edge of the township out there. And I'm also the president of the Scio Flyers, who currently have a lease on the property back here in the corner. And we're here we have an interest in on one of the agenda items for the meeting today.
Okay.
And we just like to say that we've been back there for 36 years. We love the township. The township has been very generous to us, and we want to keep that relationship going if we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have that, actually, is this supposed to be? No, okay, H1, yeah. Those are back. That's okay, it is H1. So, you're good right now?
Did I cover it? Did I cover it?
Yeah, okay. Anyone else, Chris, from Remote have their hand up?
I don't even see anybody attending at this point, so that gives me cause for concern, but we're in and I don't see anybody with a hand up.
Why don't I try to log on? Why don't I?
Just make sure
Can
that
I do that?
we're the Parks Pathways and
It could be
Preserves.
that it's August and everybody's out playing in the weather.
Yeah, swimming in the lake.
It could be, and we don't have a gentleman who just entered, so.
Democracy. PP. Look, can you coming on, please? Click on it, or do I? Let me, Give me a second here, let me.
Haven't you done this before, Chris?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I think I'm in the right spot to just see if John's in and we're all good.
Give me a second. Victor. As host is joined, you let them know you're here.
Yeah, you're in, John. Well, that's all right. Here, we're in the right spot.
Okay.
I see it.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
I'm gonna leave the meeting.
All right, so at this point, we'll close public comment at the beginning of the meeting. So let's move on to item E, approval of the minutes from July 10th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Can I do that?
Sure. Second, if you were here, you can. You were here. So, yeah, second comment. Any changes, deletions, additions? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye, it's carried. Let's go on to reports and updates.
Do you mind if I give mine after these gentlemen present? Or I don't mind doing it now, but if we've got guests here, I'm okay accommodating that. Either if they want to, either way, whatever you want. I don't want.
I mean, your report won't be like 30 minutes.
No, okay, then I'll do it. So, at the planning commission, the planning commission approved, recommending a variance for a parcel split on Forshee Drive for, variance to a private road. The road came in, it's kind of like a big long driveway, but it's a road, Forshee Drive, and it was before the township adopted its standards for Class A roads. A Class A road would be required modernly, but they've been there a long time and they've had this long existing asphalt road that's in good condition. So, the OHM was recommending it, Carlisle Waterman was recommending, fire department didn't have any objection. And what differentiates, among other things, a Class A road from like this private road, was like how wide it has to be. So it's a few feet narrower than what it needs to be, but it has a full, whatever, 66-foot right-of-way easement. So, that was recommended, yes. We also reviewed, but didn't take action on, aligning Scio Township's solar ordinance with the new state law that promotes, more solar power locally, like bigger local, solar power generation. So that was on Monday night. At the, yesterday's, board of, trustees, we heard an update from Priority Waste with their, I don't know, periodic pledge that things are gonna be better on trash hauling. You remember GFL went to Priority and they came in and said, oh, it's gonna be great, you're gonna love it. There's GPS, there's all this stuff, and they get the trucks and they're crappy trucks and they take the GPS off them and there's a million complaints. A million is too many, but there's hundreds of complaints. Now they say the complaints have gone down. They say service has gotten better. I can't speak for your neighborhoods, but in mine, service has gotten better. And last Thursday was maybe the first day that they both came on the same day as required. So service has gotten better. We'll see if it's a fluke or if it's a trend. So they were here. Also, one of the things we had to do, we allocated up to $200,000 to a company called Pipeline Management because the township's records from way back we don't know whether the service lines, which is from the shut off by the road to the meter in the house, we don't know if those are PVC, if they're copper. They're not PVC because that's kind of a new thing. But are they copper? Were they lead? Were they galvanized? Were galvanized with lead connections? So Eagle's requiring us to randomly pick 368 houses or businesses whose service leads we're not sure of. And then they're gonna go in and look at those and they can look to see what it consists of. And it's really kind of an offshoot of the Flint lead crisis, and it's getting rid of lead pipes in residential housing and other housing. So that's what we took action on that. Related to this body is that Chris, as the interim parks director, put on the agenda an item. It is related to applying to the Washtenaw County Parks and Recreation Commission for a Connecting Communities grant. And that's for the portion of Scio Church. You know where Oak Valley is, and there's a library there. There's the Ice Cube there that kind of connects down to Pioneer High School, U of M, the worldwide of sports. So it would connect Lodi, Pittsfield, Ann Arbor City with Scio, and get people who walk, who run, who bike along Scio Church Road. There's it's in the capital improvement plan. There's not money for it yet, but before we can look for money, we need to find out how much money it's gonna cost. So it's a grant that Washtenaw County Parks, through its millage, would fund, likely OHM or somebody else, to provide what's called a final engineering on, you know, where do you put the road crossing? What do you do about the culverts? What do you do about any dips in there? Where should the sidewalk go or the non-motorized pathway? So that was something on there. One of the things that came up is what to do about that cute red barn that's at the corner of Scio Church and help me out on the road, Wagner Road. You know, it's got the barn
Oh,
of the
that-
year.
yeah.
It's a gorgeous little, so it's kind of a.
You're
it's kind
switching
of-
gears, you went from the pathway to the barn.
Yeah, that's right. Did I switch to abruptly?
Yeah, there's also a barn at the corner of Oak Valley and.
Yeah, the sidewalk's not gonna go to the barn.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to,
Okay.
see, I wanted to go later, so I didn't have
It
to
gets
jam these guys up.
All right, so now we're on the historic barn
Okay.
at Wagner
Yeah.
and.
Yeah, from new sidewalks to old barns, a decision's gonna have to be made. There's, much like Scio, Flyers, there's a kind of a volunteer group who's kind of taking care of that barn, painting it, you know, mowing it. They get to keep their stuff in there so that the bats can go to the bathroom all over their product, their property. It's got a dirt floor, it doesn't have electricity, doesn't have plumbing, doesn't have water. But recently it's come to light that as things happen on old barns, it needs a new roof. So do you put a metal roof on it, you take it off, put a new one, that's kind of expensive. So what should we do with, it's a really small parcel. Should we put out an RFP where people can say, you know, we'll buy it and we'll use it for this? Or should we apply for a historic district like we did on another parcel, an old farm? So it's a future discussion. That's, we talked about that. We're gonna be leasing the Z Broadmeyer parking lot for $1 for our October sustainability fair that happened just outside this building last year. That's gonna be in the Meyer parking lot, and that's where there'll be electric cars, there'll be electric bikes, electric devices. It's kind of a neat thing to go to if you haven't had a chance to go hands-on with some of these. We renewed our annual contract with BSNA, which tracks, we use that to track our assessments or software. And that's.
We renewed the lease with Vestergaard, which is the grazing for the cattle.
Yep, yeah.
That's right there at Liberty and Wagner.
I was gonna save that one for last. That's the best one, Chris. No.
And I think he's interested in that barn.
Yeah, but yeah, so do we? That's gonna be a board decision of, do we sell it, do we RFP it, do we put it in the historic district? So, there isn't much land there at all. It's just a
It
small.
was 2 acres is what I
Yeah.
recall.
The land around it is preserved though, isn't that land protected around it?
Yes.
So it's conservation.
Well,
Conservation.
the adjacent parcels, yes.
Are in conservation easement?
Yeah, the adjacent parcels, but this is just a
2 acre.
one-off little corner parcel.
Previous owner donated it to the township. Probably because they don't want to maintain it any longer. So
And they're like, we can't afford to upkeep this barn. I'll give it away. So, that's it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat the name of that grant? Is it Connecting Communities?
Yes, Chris, why don't you, Chris?
it is, it's connecting communities with the Washington County Parks and Recreation Commission.
Cool, thank you.
I was talking so fast.
And so that whole piece, okay.
Well, it's really applying for, this is a concept that is kind of generated back in what's called the TAP, Transportation Alternatives. I don't know, I forgot what the P stands for, but it's TAP committee. But so, and that's like the late 18s, 19s, 20s, and it's in the pros plan, that the recreation plan, to try to connect through non-motorized pathways more of the township, starting down at that southwest, I guess it's southeast corner, and working its way up through along Scio Ridge, and then through along Liberty, and then through Saginaw Forest, and then through the new Scio Hills, or there's a new
Southview.
Scio something, maybe Scio View.
So,
Scio View, and then along kind of the park to Jackson, to Zeeb, to the border. So it's a way of trying to get people connected through bikes, walking, running, things like that.
Right.
And that's kind of like a missing link in a high dense area. But it's gonna be expensive. But there could be other grants that might be available through Watts, SEMCOG, through the county, through the state, so.
If somebody may remember, we were sort of involved with the connecting, there's what, 5 or 6 subdivisions that were all built. And then the sidewalks never connected them all. So was it just last year?
Yeah.
After about 2 years of engineering, we finally got that done. So those subdivisions are now connected. And now it's like taking it was always, like always phase 1, phase 2 was then taking those connected subdivisions potentially and connecting them to the city, connecting them to Pittsfield Township, Lodi Township, the library, Pioneer, Ice Cube, all those businesses along Oak Valley. Because it's really relatively short distance.
Right, and it's a straight shot.
Yeah, and actually the one new development that went in, they did put a sidewalk in front of their site, small portion of it. So that's it. What would the grant would do, would look at feasibility and study it, and then you get a more accurate cost. Is it $10 or 10 million? I mean, obviously it's some, but at least get that perspective. And then you can then apply for other grants, the right of way concerns, other impacts and stuff like
And
that.
that'd be a shared cost among all those communities.
Exactly. So that's.
Or grants, I mean, that's, you reach out to Morgan Foreman and she's the state rep there in that area, and for all those 4 municipalities.
Right, so, all right,
But there needs to be board support, and there might not be board support for that.
land preservation, huh?
Seems like a good idea to connect all of those communities.
Right. I mean, it's been talked about, and this site and
Years.
others for years of doing that. Like you said, like John said, eventually connecting more of the township, that's the zebra path, stuff on Jackson Road, stuff on Liberty, eventually tie those all together to connect the border trail, technically, which connects communities together, so.
And it fits in sustainability, so I
Right,
don't
this
know
is-
how there's a conflict really, because
Right,
you can't use them.
It's just where do you allocate dollars?
right. Land preservation, Liz isn't here. I wasn't at the last roads meeting, so nothing to update there. As far as update on Parks Director position and stewards, Chris?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick update. So our Parks Director, Murphy Harrington, is slated to start this upcoming Monday.
Chris,
So,
will you please ask the host to let me in the PPP zone? Kathleen Brandt.
oh, absolutely, I was.
Right.
She's admitted now. She's in.
What was the name, Chris?
Murphy Harrington. Is
Am I allowed to interrupt? I didn't know if I am or not. Forgive me,
Not-
forgive me if I'm violating.
Not at this point in time.
Oh, no.
When we get into, when we talk about the,
Thank you. I didn't know the protocol. Thank you.
So Murphy Harrington is slated to start on this upcoming Monday. And then as far as the stewards, we did lose one of the stewards, this week. He returned to college. So we're down to 1 right now, and the plan is we're trying to find another one, but it's unlikely that we're gonna find somebody since it expires the position on October 31st. So to find somebody for 2 months that's gonna work full time. If you know anybody, we'd be open to it, but
Or can you be-
he's doing a great job checking in and, keeping our parks preserves updated and maintained. So that's the update.
okay, any other reports? Okay. Move on to item G, unfinished business. Don't really have anything, do we? So- Right, new business Township Hall Park concept sign, First, I'll put a plug in. Thanks, Chris, for getting the sign. Actually, we have a sign out here now recognizing this is Township Hall Park. It's been Township Hall Park for a while, but there's never been a sign. I guess we actually owned the sign for a while, but it's never put up. But it is put up, and I think if you look out the window, you actually can see it. And like flyers that they've been using some of this area for, you said 36 years? So it's always, so it's like,
We call it the field, sir.
yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't know when it get designated as a park, but anyways,
So there you can see on the screen, if I'll increase it, that is the new Township Hall Park sign that was just installed. If you come out here and just take a right, you'll see it towards the entrance towards the Scio Flyers field. So that was put in probably 2 weeks ago, I think. So,
But it's been a park for, it's
yes.
been a park,
We just haven't-
township park for a long time.
It's all the sign.
So also part of this, working with the DDA, DDA hired, Johnson Hill to look at concepts of this township ballpark. I think, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, I'm not sure that there was some other concepts put out. I've seen them around, but we said, let's start sort of fresh and start new. And so we hired Johnson Hill to come up with different concepts. So, and today, this is like we just got these the other day. So I think first we'd like to do is, as a group here, look at these, like list pros and cons of each. There's 3 different options. Then we can open it up to the flyers too and say, okay, of the 3 concepts, the pros and the cons of them. We're not going to decide anything today, but just start thinking about, because sometimes you're like, oh, I like this item with number 1, I like this item with number 2, and this item number 3, and they can eventually come back and combine those things or eliminate things or add things. I think with that, I'm hoping you looked at some of these before you came here. This is concept number 1, which shows 2 soccer fields, a parking area sort of in the middle, no real space for the flyers. And then there's a driveway that goes back, and then the playground and some other features. I'm trying, do you have that?
Yeah. Let's see, that's one right there.
And there is still somewhat of a walking path. So I don't know, I guess, as far as P3 committee members, I guess if you want to list some of the pros and cons of concept number 1, I think that'd be the best way to. Tom, so you already say something.
Yes,
So go ahead.
I would start with a question. So, I'll preface it with, I lived in Farmington Hills for 30 years and raised 3 sons and 3 soccer players. One of whom was good, one of them was okay, one of them was awful. But at any rate, I had a good sense of the need for soccer fields, what the teams were doing, how many kids there were in play-in and all that. I have no sense of that here because I'm just an old man. And so that would be one question I have is if we're talking about soccer fields, where do the kids play? What needs do they have? Are there inadequate soccer fields? Are there adequate, more than adequate? I don't know the answer to that question in this area.
Soccer is very popular in Washington County too.
Sure.
So I mean, it's not just
I'm just not familiar. With the
yeah.
facility.
And is there enough fields? I'm not an expert on that. Seems like there's always more demand than the number of fields. I really I can't say, here's the criteria for listing that.
From the soccer community could address it.
Right, exactly. But I know that soccer is pretty big in Washington County. And we don't really have, not that this is gonna serve it, but some communities, if you're familiar with Canton has this huge soccer facility that has probably 10 or more fields, maybe 20 fields. It's crazy how many soccer fields. Here again, this is not what this is gonna be. And Washington County doesn't really have any of
They have
that.
a huge tournament out there with thousands of people.
I mean, Pittsfield has a fair amount, Washington County has a
Pittsfield
few,
has
City of
those.
Ann Arbor has some, then some of the schools have them. So I think this would be sort of complement. As far as the west side, some of the high schools have them all, obviously, that football fields are generally, it's a combination of soccer and, but I'm just thinking west here, you probably have to go, the high schools, but I'm not sure there's other.
There may be a need out here, and then there is also a need, not being facetious, there's a need for the Scio Flyer. Scio Flyers use that field.
Mhm.
So can I make a comment?
Sure.
Since I've been at the table for 5 years, one thing that's been talked about with the parks, preserves and pathways is having an active use park. And we have preserves and we have pathways, but and then there's Liberty, whatever that is, nature area, but we don't have an active use park. And so I understand where the DDA is coming from, but that's been something that's been on the table for a long time is can we have an active use park? And this location is sort of central to the township, so and it's not a preserve, it can be a park. So I just wanted to say that, because there's a distinction between if you have a preserve or if you have a park, and in a park.
I agree, the township
active
has,
use.
as a township, we have 0 soccer
Right,
fields.
and so that's how.
And zero
this-
active parks.
Right.
Right, this is how this landed on our plate.
So when it's my turn, I have comments.
Sure. go ahead.
And can you pull up 2 and 3 so everybody can kind of see? So this is 1 with no strip for the flyers and in a central parking lot. This is 2 that doesn't have the central parking lot, but it has some parking, you know, kind of by the airstrip. And then it's got an airstrip that goes north and south, which I thought that airstrips generally go east and west, but I guess that's for them. They'll know more about that than I do. But then the third one, can you look at the third one? So that has the airstrip and it's got central parking. The question I have is, you know, is it better to have an airstrip that goes east and west versus north and south? And is that airstrip, I'm calling it, or maybe it's a runway, then maybe that's a better way of saying it, but is that runway sufficiently distanced from, I don't know if they take off into the west prevailing winds and land against the wind? You know, I don't know if that's enough for, you know, I don't know if they were consulted on this plan and whether it's a feasible plan, given the distances. I know there's a scale drawing at the bottom. And I don't know, have you gentlemen seen this online? The part of the pack- Oh, okay.
I'll answer your question. We were not consulted about the distances.
Yeah, I guess this time, if you,
So I guess my points are, you know, I like one with an airstrip rather than without an airstrip, given their history. I hope that, you know, both recreational airplane use and soccer use can coexist. I don't know if they do that simultaneously using, or there's hours for one versus hours for the other. I think, you think about that in the design, I guess, or I don't know, that's the coexistence of the space for disparate recreational uses safely, and, you know, that would be one of my concerns, or not, interests.
why don't we open it up to them, because I think, yeah, I had some of those same concerns, like, I don't know, here in airport, I actually took an airport design class, and generally,
In college,
Yeah.
in engineer school?
yeah, but not these, but you don't have any north-south runways in this part of the country, other parts of the country. So at this point, why don't we open it up, as far as you guys have reviewed some of these,
We haven't had a chance as a group to get together and talk.
Yeah, come on up.
come on up. if you
I'll
wouldn't
sit
mind.
down, I'll sit down this time, because I have these on my iPad, so. Some of these guys are more knowledgeable than I am, so
Right up there.
I'm gonna lean on them.
Yeah.
You guys wanna sit up here with me?
Yeah.
You guys,
I got some
these guys are smarter than I am, so. So the group in front of you guys are the officers of the club. We're missing one because he's on a cruise in Alaska right now, so. But we're here to represent the Flyers in this discussion, and we appreciate you guys letting us be here, so thank you for that. Your answer to your question about east-west is better because of the prevailing wind. So these airplanes are, my truck is full of them. By the way, side tangent, we're training after this meeting. If you guys want to come out and see us in action, you can come out and see us right after this meeting. So if you want to see it, come on out and check it out. We have to take off into the wind, which is typically east-west. And so the option 3 is the one that caught my eye. The challenge that we have is the distance to the property line. There wouldn't be enough distance for us to fly because of the clump of trees out there, and it's not on the township property. We as a club, we try to stay within the boundary of that walking path so that you guys know there's a walking path around the field, and we do our best to, you know, every now and then we get outside of that. I'll admit that, but we try to stay within the boundaries of that walking path. And that's kind of the size of space that we need for some of these aircraft. And I have examples of those aircraft in my truck so that we can show you how they work and how much space they actually need. And option 3 puts us way too close to the property line to cover that. We also have what is called a FRIA zone through the FAA. The FAA has regulations for what is called an RFID tag in all drones that are over 0.25 pounds, which every aircraft I own weighs more than 0.25 pounds. If you're flying in a space that is not classified as a FRIA zone, you must have this tag on inside the aircraft or drone, all right? We worked with the AMA to get RF field classified as a FRIA zone so that we do not need those RFI tags. So the FAA, when we're flying in that space, the FAA doesn't require us to have that tag on our aircraft. And that space that we gave to the FAA was that basically the walking path. So if we stay within that walking path, we're well within FAA regulations. We have a 400-foot limit above the airspace, so we can't go above 400 feet. And we have to stay in that that designated FRIA zone. I'll ask these guys if there's anything to add to that.
Well, just one thing I wanted in terms of number 3, I think one issue that gonna be brought up by the soccer world is that those fields are east-west instead of north-south in number 3. And I would suspect that that would have a few objections to that, as all football fields and soccer fields are north-south.
I didn't know that.
Number 2, there's a problem with the north-south, east.
North-south.
Yeah. We try not to fly over neighbor's property.
Yeah, the houses.
We do our best to stay away from it. We have a rule that basically we never go, if we are flying out further, never more than halfway the distance between the center of our position and the fire department or the Jane Hergott's house to the west, and Naylor's house to the north. We try to stay no more than half the distance. So, but we don't fly over. We try not to fly. If we were flying with the one on number 2, we would be flying over her house, which would be a problem.
Right, take off a lane, exactly.
Another thing with number 2, the north-south runway, is besides the prevailing wind issue, you've got a row of trees on the south, so we couldn't do any approaches from the south. Everything would have to be, landing to the
north.
I'm sorry, to the north. But
We would have to do a north to south approach in that end, and depending on the wind, that would mess us up, so.
Another point is a runway would be nice. There's been talk about it on our field back here for a long time, but we need more than that. We have guys that couldn't hit the runway if their life depended on it. Okay, me for one. So we need the width that we had originally, which is probably close to 100 yards of space to get the plane down. It's you've got students involved.
I was gonna mention, we
hard.
do training every Wednesday, and we've had a really good group of kids out there this year. We've got 6, 7 that consistently come back, and we've been training them all year, and they're fantastic. And when you get some of those beginners, especially those young ones, we've got a 9-year-old that's out there flying, and he's a blast. He's a real smart kid, but he has a hard time bringing that airplane around. So it's something we truly enjoy doing. We feel that we contribute to the community in that way, and we need some space. I mean, as you can tell, all of these concepts eliminate, most of the space that we've had out there, and it would be difficult.
You have training every Wednesday. How many other days in the year are you at?
Well, we're gonna have our big picnic this Saturday coincidentally enough. So we have an annual picnic, which is the biggest event that we have, is always on National Model Aviation Day. And that's always mid-August. We try to do another picnic in the middle of July, which is earlier in the season. We do a night fly in September as the evenings, start getting, as it gets darker earlier, we'll be out there and do a night fly in September. Other than that, it's mostly impromptu flying where we have a group of, a gentleman that's been with the club for a very long time. They go out, during the day. I never see them because I'm always working. But they're out there during the day flying around. And then, we have one gentleman that shows up almost every day. He's going for a Guinness World Record, by the way. He has flown every single day for over 500 days. Not here, he flies elsewhere, but he's flown every single day for almost 500 days.
So can I ask, what days do you generally occupy that space, or do you use it? Is there a-
Wednesdays and then Saturdays and Sundays would be the biggest use days for the flyers.
So currently Wednesdays from what to what?
5:30 to 8 o'clock.
5:30 to 8, and when Saturdays?
We don't really have a set time on the weekends. It's whenever we go.
Okay, so is Saturday and Sunday for both days, or what days?
Both days, but again, we don't have a real set schedule. We're pretty casual when it comes to that.
The retirees will be out there 9, 10 o'clock, any day of the week.
So how many hours a week would you say you folks occupy space out there?
Well, you're counting Wednesday and then. I don't know.
6 hours, 4 hours?
It highly depends on the weather.
We are dependent on the weather. That's a good point. I don't know, it's hard to say. I would say, probably 10 if you accumulated it all.
And how many acres would you say you use? Have you ever estimated that, or like the parcel size, you guys do loops?
Yeah.
Like how big is your,
One of our,
how big is your loop?
one of our training maneuvers is what we call a flat figure 8, where you fly diagonally across the field and you make a left turn and then you bring the plane around and fly diagonally across the others. And that uses the entire space when we're doing that.
So, can a park and an airfield coexist?
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Not representing the club.
Yeah.
So my daughter plays soccer on FC and on Rec and Ed. And thankfully that's the moment that subsides, I'm out of the field. The notion with the field is that it's also an AMA certified field. What that means is that all the pilots that fly there, which is a requirement of all the pilots that fly there, they cover a 7-figure insurance policy. And so we would obviously have to, if there were changes to the field, we have to go through the AMA to make it absolutely certain that it would still be within the
What does
confines.
the AMA stand for?
American.
Academy of Model Aeronautics.
Okay.
And thank you, sir.
Yeah, and then I'll say that we also have, there's an initiative called Design, Build, Fly through the University of Michigan. And so we have all the pilots from the graduate engineering students from University of Michigan that come and train there as well. And so it extends kind of beyond just the K-12 educational programming, in the sense that we also have flyers from the University of Michigan. And again, like I said, my daughter's in Rec and Ed. We end up leasing space from the schools. And so I can't.
We mean flyers do, or the soccer
Rec and Ed.
Who's the we?
Rec and Ed is usually confined to a location, and then the games on the weekends take place at one another's locations.
All right.
So absent like an outstanding need that you're aware of, I'm certainly not aware of any Rec and Ed needs. I don't know to what extent to address your question, but that should be dominating. And I'd say the same with the FC club, which is based down further south. They have their own proprietary fields, and so they're not.
That wasn't my question. My question goes to, can airplanes and soccer coexist in the same space?
So I think we might have opinions on that, but at the end of the day, for us to be able to fly, we absolutely need to be a certified field according to the AMA, such that we have liability insurance, because otherwise it's.
And would soccer be grass, or would it be AstroTurf? It would be grass, I assume, right?
Yeah, I would hope.
Yeah, right. So would flying over a soccer field
Right, how
that's
close proximity
not
could
used? Yeah.
they coexist, or can they?
We cannot fly over people, that's the.
Oh, no, I get that.
Yeah, the answer to your question, is yes, we could probably coexist with a soccer field. A soccer field provides enough space, it provides, adequate landing and takeoff space. To the gentleman's point back here, the AMA would have to certify it and make sure that they are comfortable with the configuration because we have.
Bleachers and the seats and the goals posts.
Yeah, right, because we have a charter with the Academy of Model Aeronautics, and that charter gives us the insurance, and that protects the township from liability. That's how we protect the township, is through that insurance policy that our charter gives us. And then each one of us are members of the AMA, and that membership gives us individual insurance policies to protect us in case something happens out there that would cause.
And how about, do you need turf grass or, what kind of landing surface, like?
It almost doesn't matter, but I'll just add that.
Yeah.
Well, we own other land too, so it might matter.
I mean, from a flying perspective, it's astroturf, grass.
Yeah, but I mean.
We would love Augusta National, man, if we could get it.
Like, can you land in tall?
No, you cannot land in taller, or you have to have.
Couple inches high.
Okay,
It
like
has to be
like
cut.
a Kentucky or a fescue or a rye.
Correct,
something
it has
like
to be well-groomed grass, we can't land or take off in long grass.
In a relatively level area.
Yes.
Yes. Has to
We
be
try
level.
to make sure the grass gets cut Tuesday or Wednesday before the flying that occurs on Wednesday evening.
Can you land on the type of grass that is typically used on a soccer field?
Oh,
Yes,
that
oh,
would
yeah,
be,
yeah,
that'd be
absolutely,
great.
yeah.
Natural grass.
The lower the better.
That's okay. I just have a question that it's already been asked so many times by everybody, among yourselves. Is it possible to, set up a schedule where the fields are shared so that we have time where soccer can be played there and time where you guys have the field?
So the concern is who's gonna control the crowds? So if there are children playing that elect to come during a designated flying time, does that mean the pilots have to immediately land so as to make absolutely sure that everyone's safe? And so right now, it's actually quite ideal in the sense that if you go out there, there's never any visitors across what's called the flight line. And so that's the concern. So it could absolutely coexist, but then it's unclear, at least to me, who would be enforcing folks not using the soccer field for soccer at that time.
So the pink area, the pink circle up there on the right-hand side near the driveway going in, that's an area where we're considering putting a nature play space, which will be based on hopefully nature-made elements. But is that gonna be a problem if kids are playing in that area?
Yeah, the way we addressed this a couple of years ago, when there was a proposal for that specific, the soccer fields weren't part of it, but there was a proposal to do that. And the way the club addressed it is, what we would do is as soon as somebody shows up out there, we would have to land and human, to the gentleman's point, humans take priority. I mean, we're not, when somebody goes for a walk out there, we immediately put a spotter, what we call a spotter. So if anybody's in the air, a spotter will stand next to the pilot and watch the people on the ground so that the pilot doesn't have to watch them. And that's called a spotter. And so there are steps that we can take to mitigate the risk, but we are not allowed to fly over human beings. So if the prevailing wind has us coming in, taking off or approaching from that area, we would have to land.
Is it safe to say that the existing trail that's there, the perimeter trail, if it saw more use, it would become a difficult situation for you?
Well, I don't think so, because we would have a spotter there, and the spotter would help us target the human beings, right? So if somebody came in, they started walking down here and we were in the air, we'd have a spotter say, okay, those humans are right there. We'd come in and land until they clear it, and then we'd go back into flight operations, right? So if they're going for a walk, we could accommodate that. And we do that all the time, by the way. People come up to us when they're out there walking. I've had dogs come up. It was fantastic, man. The dogs are chasing the airplanes around, but we've had walkers come up and stand there and watch us fly, and we do our best to accommodate them safely. And we have steps that we can do to mitigate that.
You can fly higher, like on the pathway. If somebody, when there's somebody on the pathway and you just fly in a different area, different quadrant of the field, or
Yeah.
make sure you're plenty high enough.
Question, so if the playground is space, option 2, the playground's basically to the far east and to the far south, I guess southeast in that quadrant. Would that be, would something like that still be too close? I mean,
Yeah, but the runway
could you
sucks.
coexist, or that still, if there's a person out there?
Well, we would accommodate, I mean, we would do our best to accommodate that. I mean, if that was the only thing that went in there and you had a playground there, we would, we would put flight operations. We actually put a sign out there now. It's a brand new sign, and we'd have flight operations. So anybody that shows up for the playground, they would know that we're flying. And then as soon as we spotted them, we would land and go over, we would make sure that we're doing it. We could accommodate that, I guess, is what we're trying to.
But not, option number 2 is.
We can't accommodate the north-south runway in
Yeah,
option
it
2.
doesn't work. There's
I think the other thing how you could coexist is, you guys just, in my mind, why wouldn't you just use the soccer fields for your runway, right? You need
Sure,
grass, you
absolutely.
need grass.
Yeah.
They can, since you're not gonna be flying when we're playing soccer, the soccer players aren't gonna be, so why wouldn't you use the same grass?
It's not a problem.
That wouldn't be a problem, but to the gentleman, I don't know his name, so to the gentleman's point is who gets the priority if we're out there flying and somebody comes up and wants to take play soccer or something like that.
Well, usually, I mean, it's a lot of soccer fields you gotta reserve, and that's where you just, set up, so you guys are reserving them. I mean, obviously, during the day, a lot of soccer a lot of kids, especially soccer is more of a spring, fall type thing, it's midsummer. My daughter plays travel soccer, she doesn't really, you don't play soccer in Michigan in the summer that much, I mean, it's starting up now. So midsummer is hot to play summer, it's fall, and it's usually in the evening, right? Because that's when parents can take their kids to play soccer. So, you figure out schedules, that could work for them, could work for you guys. Because I mean, obviously, they're not gonna be out there 24/7. You guys aren't gonna be out there 24/7. It seems like there could be some type of schedule. And people show up, it's like, no, you guys have, I mean, I reserve gyms at, play basketball. You have a thing, kids can't show up to play because you reserved it. Same like, you'd have a thing like, hey, we have it reserved every Wednesday from
It says,
8 to 5.
we could have signage that says, you can't just drop in
Right,
and start
don't
playing
drop in.
soccer, particularly if there's airplanes or guys that want to fly their.
Right, they have priority.
But we wouldn't be putting that kind of restriction onto a playground, though, correct?
Right.
So, I mean, the question I have is, like, I don't know the extent to which our consultant, Johnson Hill Land Ethics Studio, like, do we need 2 soccer fields or 1 soccer field?
That was my question.
What if we had 1 soccer, I mean, I'm just thinking, what if we had 1 soccer field and it went east-west and it had the runway area generally to the north, it's grass. And then we have that playground that's down this way so that kids can get to the playground. And then, after let's say over there, you could have I don't know, a gate or something that says, a swing arm that says, like, what if we had 1 soccer field and they're there, and then go to 3.
System, that's there, I think 2 is the better.
Yeah, something like that. So 2, it's like, that's there, that remains there, and then you put a soccer field there, you put your runway there. I don't know, you do a soccer field that way, I don't know, and then you have a swing arm there so that when, I don't know, I guess.
John, this area right now out there that these guys use,
I've
it's
been
about
out
the
there.
equivalent of these 2 soccer fields. Cause I mean, these 2 soccer fields, the 2 big ones is about the same area that it's being right now. If you eliminate the other 2, I mean, really just converting the area that you guys have been mowing, that's simple. But then that's why I think somehow you can coexist, because, you need about this big of an area for taking off and landing and all that stuff. And you put 2 soccer fields in the same area, obviously they're gonna put stripes on it, but striping's not gonna hurt. You're taking.
No, I don't think so, and you know, I'd like to say, hey, leave it the way it is, because we love it. But if it has to happen, we would coexist with that if that.
The good thing is, I mean, soccer field's actually a little bit longer than what you have now, so the goals would be, you know, further.
Well, that would be one of the, if the, to that gentleman's point, if you put the soccer fields east-west, then the goals are in our approach. And
I'm saying, I stick with option two, where the goal would be at the far north end, far
and
south.
then we're landing between them.
Are the goals, I mean, are the goals
permanent or can we?
always, are the goals always fixed or can they be wheeled?
I don't know,
That's
a lot
a
of
good
question.
question.
A lot of them will wheel.
Yeah,
If we could have them wheeled and we just wheel them out of the way, that would help us a bunch.
but they are about 300 feet apart, so that helps too, but not.
Yeah. I was measuring them. I had Google Maps out, man. I was measuring everything, man.
So this concept is not terrible and they could just eliminate the runway. Is that what you're thinking? Just use the field as the runway since you would not really overlap, but you've got the runway going north-south. That could be sort of eliminated? Is that what we're saying?
Well, the north-south runway doesn't do anything for us, so you might as well eliminate it because it doesn't help us at all. The east-west runway is what we need. And the question is can we put an east-west runway in there with enough space? And if the answer to that is no, then we would have to coexist with the soccer field that's there.
How about, two soccer fields that are oriented east-west? One's a big one on the top, one's a small one at the bottom, and your runway is kind of right down the middle.
Can you?
Yeah, that would.
That way you got a
Yeah,
big soccer field, you got a little soccer field, and you put the playground bottom right, or I guess that would be southeast.
And that might help us with scheduling, because if, I don't know if I could point out this is all a concept. You guys tell me if I'm on the weeds, but if you take, if you take a big field, turn it east-west, put it here. And then you make a smaller soccer field up here, and then we're in the middle somewhere. As long as that little soccer field isn't being used, we can fly. We can fly there anytime we want.
And then, I don't know, do we want that much asphalt on the park back there?
Yes, by the way, I'd like to address that from a flyer's point of view. Having a paved runway is kind of cool, but not necessary for us.
You know, I'm even talking about for vehicular.
Yeah.
Should people park at Township Hall and walk?
back.
Yeah.
That's a big burden. And you know, one of the other things I think that we should consider for this area is a dog park. You know, I mean, I think that there's so many people in the community that would like to have a place where they could bring their dog.
I agree, and that dog park could be where that parking is there, or somewhere there in that parcel. It could be closer to Township Hall.
It could be right out.
Yeah, right,
Up here.
we're looking at what could be a dog park area.
Dog park would be a fenced area where dogs can run free.
Yeah,
And that could be where that parking lot is next to this existing parking lot, right there.
although it would be interesting to combine the dog run and the airplanes at the same time, and see how that goes.
I can tell you, I know they're supposed to be on leashes, but we've had some dogs out there kind of running around, and it's been fun. We've never had a problem, to be honest with you. And the community, when they see us out there, they usually stop and watch, so.
No, I've been there, done that myself.
Yeah.
Can I just say besides the field, there's a tent and there's tables. And so to the extent that you're envisioning slotting the runway or the area kind of between the two soccer fields, I don't know to what extent that takes into account the needed schools and or tent structure.
You have a tent or we have a tent?
We have a tent. We put up a tent every summer. That belongs to the club, and that's what we use for shelter.
That's just a tent that's movable.
Correct. Yeah, it's on a frame that we put together and take apart.
Provide shade mostly in the place to sit.
I appreciate all your input. This is super valuable because I mean, I'm sure Johnson Hill, I mean, they're a good firm, but they don't have the background details that you guys do, so I appreciate. I think at this point, unless anybody, we do have other things on the agenda. We're not making any decisions today, but I think we can take this great information back to them and say, okay, you know, let's.
And before you move on, so I'd just like one more time to invite you guys out right after this meeting, come watch us, because then you'll see what our requirements are all about. You can see what we're talking about. So I invite you out there, come watch our training night so you can see it.
I can't make it this Wednesday, but you're there next Wednesday? I can't make it.
I will be out there next Wednesday as well.
Every
Weather,
Wednesday.
weather permitting, I'll be out there.
You guys have Chris Chang's contact information?
His email's right on the thing, so.
Okay.
Got it.
So, yeah, if you guys wanna see it, come out and check it out. Matter of fact, I'll take you up and train you. I'll get you flying, man. I got the buddy boxes going, everything.
So I met with a few of you, with Anna. Do you remember when Anna was here? And we had a meeting once.
Sure, yeah.
And we are hoping to start a new director sometime next week.
Yeah,
And so,
I thought I heard a name earlier. in
Right.
Murphy.
and so that's gonna be another little added piece that will make a little bit of a slight change in how, who's talking to who and, you know, all of that. But right now, I think we're working with the board and the DDA and
Right, and you
the other
guys,
powers that be.
you guys have you leased, you've used it for 30, how long have you been using that?
36
park?
years. 36 years.
And is it an annual lease?
It's a zero cost
Like
annual.
a dollar lease or
Yeah,
something?
It's a zero cost lease that you guys have.
And you have to indemnify the township kind of thing?
Yep, we do, yep. So we have, there's indemnification in the lease, and there's a requirement that we carry insurance, and we meet that requirement through our relationship with the Academy of Model Aeronautics.
I'm kind of curious, still, if we really require two different fields, you know, I mean, if one would be sufficient, that would give them additional space in order to orient, you know, to the east and west. If they could coexist, then.
You know, we can talk about that and whether one's a smaller one or one's for frisbee or, I mean, we can, yeah. How big are your planes?
The biggest wingspan I have is 64 inches.
What's a typical plane?
36. I bought I brought the biggest plane I have, just to show you guys. And I bought a smaller one too, so you guys can see.
Okay. Planes only, helicopters or drones?
We do, there are a couple of guys that fly drones, but not very many. And we rarely have guys out there with a helicopter. We have, I think Ben flies a real small helicopter. I mean, he's got a really small one that he flies around. Now, we during our picnic, we invite pilots from other club areas. And we've had some show up with helicopters, but we're real cautious about that because they introduce safety concerns.
And I know some guys have jets too, right?
Yeah, we don't allow jets out there. The space isn't
I'm
big.
not kidding. I know,
Well, I take that back.
They have jets.
I take it back. We do have, there are small jets that fly out here. The problem that we have with it, most of the jets can't take off of grass. They can't get enough speed up to take off of jets.
No rockets.
And when they do get in the air, they're very fast, so there's not a lot of space out here, so.
Your margins of error.
Yeah, very, very slim. That's correct. Yeah.
Oh, those are electric jets.
Yep.
No rockets.
No, yeah, we don't allow Rocketeer out there or anything like that, so.
Thanks. You said you're the chair. What's your name?
My name is James Hartwell. I'm the president. Jerry Hartman's our safety officer. Dan's our treasurer. Keith is our, director of, membership, and Al's just a concerned former officer. He's here helping us.
Okay.
We did get an email from you you sent an email to Will, right? So we have your contact information.
Will has it, yeah.
I think it was in one of our packets.
It's in our,
Yeah.
it's in here too.
All right.
Okay. I don't have anything.
All right.
So we'll end by saying thanks again for letting us be here. We appreciate it. Thank you for listening.
No, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Like this, we're just.
No problem.
Yeah, we appreciate
Taking
it.
it all in.
Yeah, and we appreciate you listening to us, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item on the new business is Park Road soil storage with West Scio Preserve. That's related to the Stabler and Park Road project.
Now, what the hell is that in our lap?
They're the contractor and the road commission.
I know, but,
asking.
yeah.
Chris, do you have any more details? Is it just really the road right away?
I'm gonna,
Pull it up.
pull up some photos.
It's really related to the road project.
Okay, I would be regulations, okay.
Oh, it's yours, Sam?
That's fine, that's fine.
Thank you, guys. We're not required to stick around. are we?
Oh, yeah, you have to stick, yeah.
No, man.
You signed in, you're here to the end.
All right, thanks.
You're
Go
good.
fly. I'm gonna be setting up out there, so come on out.
Okay.
So my update is they're, doing that culvert construction work over there on Stabler Road and Park Road. Which are also repaving. I just took a trip out there this morning just to check it out. They initially inquired about setting their spoils out in West Side Reserve. So we asked them a bunch of questions. Where is it going to be located? How big? How are you gonna restore it? And it kind of went radio silent with them. And with the update, I went out and I talked with the contractor. You can see, this is where they have a kind of staging area at kind of the north west corner of that intersection right there. So the staging right there, but I
In the
don't,
right of
I
way?
think that's in the right, I think it's in the right of way.
RW?
And the gentleman said, we are taking all of our spoils to Ann Arbor's sand and gravel. So they're not going to be using the West Side Preserve for any type of storage of materials. So that, you do see a little bit of a staging area, but that's in the right of way.
Now, is this the road commission using their right of way?
Yes.
No, is the
Road
road
Commission and
or the contract?
Well, the contractor's using the road commissions right away. The
Right.
contracts, with the
Yeah.
permit from the road commission.
It's a 66-foot right of way.
And there's also a drain easement out there too.
Yeah, and it's probably a pretty narrow road, so they've got probably a lot of good chunk of land that's right of way to use.
And the contractor's doing this with the cooperation or blessing of the road commission. As probably part of the requirements
Requirement of the subdivision, right?
for the subdivision.
Yeah.
So we don't really have any say in this. They should.
Not in the right of way.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right, if they came outside the right of way, yes.
Or
but
the
it-
drain easement.
Right. They should do their thing in the right of way.
And that's what they're doing. This is another, you can see this picture. This is to the northeast. This is more at the,
Chris Chang, we cannot see that from the Zoom audience.
you can't see it. We've got it on screen. Let me see if
Share
I,
screen.
Thanks, Kathleen.
let's see. Can you see this picture? Can you,
No, your camera image is the back of that room.
You have to click on share screen.
let's see. Let me close that one too. Here. Oh, so this one we've got.
What if you,
I'm doing share screen. And I was putting up, let's see, but I don't have. I was looking at my file pictures and this is what I was putting up, but I don't think Kathleen's gonna be able to see this. She can't see that at home. She's just looking at the back, so she can't see when my pictures, when I share screen here. Let me close, let's see, there's gotta be another, let me close these pictures out. Screen two. I'll tell you what, let me see if I stop share this one. Okay, now let's share screen and see if I can get. If I can get. My else are, they kind of disappeared. They're not here anymore. I don't know where they just disappeared. I'll tell you what, west side right here, there should be some files right there. But can you see it now, Kathleen?
No, so the camera angle I'm seeing is from from where you folks are to the back of the room in the
All right,
screen.
but I went in-
Can you just change the camera angle back to you folks?
Sure, absolutely, let me do that, so you're looking at us now,
There you go.
but I'm trying to see, we can see it in here.
Now you got it.
Oh,
That's,
go
oop,
back.
hit it for a second.
She had it there.
Yes, but that was the concept plans for township.
No, but it's being displayed on the screen there.
Right, I've got a separate file for those pictures that I took that were,
Well, maybe this topic isn't that
yeah, I mean,
important.
ultimately, I should, maybe I can put the,
Thanks, though. I appreciate it.
yeah, if you can, you're good, you can look at us, I'll put the pictures up on the screen that we're looking at, just in the right of way. But essentially,
Is that better?
I think Kathy's still looking at us and not the share screen is my guess. But,
It's not a problem.
okay, it's essentially staging areas. along Stabler Road, you know, what they're doing, but they're not intruding on West Sile
So it's
Preserve.
a moot point.
Exactly. So the update is, we don't have to worry about it
It's in the
this
road
time.
right
We'll
away.
monitor it. We will make sure that, you know, they're not intruding onto, South Township Preserve.
Land owned by South Township,
But they
right?
had proposed, someone had proposed to set up a topsoil plant.
Yeah, right.
My understanding of
What's
what
on township?
was communicated to us is that the developer, well, I call it a plant. The developer communicated that they want to use part of township land to process topsoil. My understanding, this is not from them, my understanding, this might be, sound a little cynical, is that when a developer develops a residential area, they strip the topsoil, they sell it. And then when people buy houses, they say, oh, would you like to buy some topsoil back? Or sod, and people sod it and they buy topsoil, but perhaps it's for construction purposes. And then perhaps they need to remove the topsoil to do.
Right, same thing with the road project. You're gonna go in and strip all the topsoil, stockpile it, and then.
You gotta take it
As
off.
long as they
because-
stockpile on the road right away, and then they'll use that same topsoil to do restoration.
Right, they have to take the topsoil off to North.
Well, there's no, we don't have an action item here, right?
Right.
No, as far as I can
I
tell.
call the question.
They're taking
Okay.
care of the
All right.
culvert up there and not using South Township Preserve.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to Van Curler, spring burn and sign. That did get pulled from the township agenda, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it did.
But we have time because they're recommending we do a spring burn rather than a
Yeah.
fall burn, so we still have time. So we'll get, I think that's gonna go to the next,
Yeah.
on
Are we
agenda,
gonna-
the
are
next
we gonna
township.
discuss that? I have one comment on that. I just went out to, Van Curler, walked it on Sunday morning. And so I'm not an expert on native plant species or anything like that. It looks like the predominantly, right now, we have Queen Anne's lace and some goldenrod and some purple flowers. And, but there's also what I believe to be autumn olive and some other,
Multi-flower rose, and natives, I mean invasive.
some of these things that are undesirable,
Right,
that's-
invasive, right.
currently thought to be undesirable. There's also some pine
Gotcha.
trees that are growing, which are not, I don't think they're invasive, but they might be inconsistent with the meadow that we're trying to maintain. So burning is one option we discussed. And I think that's really interesting, but one thing I wanted to pose or discuss is whether it's possible just to go out there and with a bunch of chainsaws and loppers and kill all the autumn olives and other undesirables at a lower cost. So,
And still do the burn thing?
well,
Well,
instead of the burn.
do we
Now,
know
I'm not
this?
against, I think the burn is an intriguing idea. It's historically, it's interesting because the Native Americans burned and it creates a landscape, a certain landscape. And burning now creates a certain landscape, and I've seen examples of that where it creates what I consider to be a better landscape.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to put out that, having walked it, I thought, oh, it's Queen Anne's lace, which as far as I know, is not on the bad list.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe it is.
Well, and another thing, Bree and I, when we went out and walked all the way around where we would put a burn edge or whatever, and we took it up into the woods. And one thing we did note was that there are some invasives out there, but it's not like a field of invasive plants necessarily either. There are some things that are okay, and I don't really have a list made up in my brain. That was just a comment that we made as we walked through. It's not really that full of invasive.
And you have to have a good burn, a good amount of fuel to get rid of those autumn olives. I don't know how,
I think you cut those,
Yeah.
you cut those and
cut them and burn.
Yeah.
what I've done is you cut them and then you, glyphosate.
Maybe you do both.
Right.
Well, no, you cut, then glyphosate.
Right.
You cut to about 4 inches, then you glyphosate.
And if you don't do
Oh,
that.
glyphosate, okay. Roundup.
So those.
I'm not
things-
an expert on this.
And we talked about, am I getting the cart ahead of the horse? We talked about doing the burn, probably instead of doing it in the fall, we would do it in the spring, only because of the flowers that are out there, they're not gonna burn as
Right, it's not
efficiently
dry
in,
enough.
in the fall. But if we did it in the spring, which I wasn't
Should be dry.
crazy about
So-
that.
The advantage of the burn too, it actually, the native plants gives them really a jump start. Really,
Right.
you'll notice the
I'm
difference.
not
So that's, I think,
anti-burn, it's a fascinating idea, but just this, Here's
One thing on, getting rid of automobiles. I don't think Fink would want volunteers using chainsaws. You know what I mean? I mean,
You get loppers.
yeah, but depending on it, you can lop them or chainsaw them. And then, like I say, you treat them. But what, I would be wary of fundamentally changing Bria Sheffer's plan in any way. She's the expert, she did it, so I'm not opposed to your idea, but if we're gonna let her do this and run with it, then I would want to respect her plan and the design that she's come up with and after the experts that she's consulted. That
I
would be
agree with that. I do not claim to have 1/10 of the knowledge that she has on this, but
Right. I mean, this is what the city of Ann Arbor does, Metro Parks does, Washington County Parks, and a lot of.
Does she prefer a fall burn though, if I recall correctly?
Not so much her, it was me.
Well,
Because it is-
that's coming from Dave Borneman, right, who's going to do the burn.
Yeah.
Mr. Borneman said, no, it's gonna be much better if you do it in the spring rather than the fall. And we're still waiting for his quote. He's been out of town. Once we get that quote, that's when we can send this on to one of the next board of trustee meetings. Maria's all set. I think we got Michigan Wildflower Seed all set. We're just waiting for Borneman's quote, but there were a couple of aspects from his initial site visit is he's got to get his equipment back there. And he was looking at maybe getting permission to go through neighbors' properties. And I said, that's a non-starter. We're not doing that. So we may have to actually get the loppers out and take down some invasive trees or shrubs or whatever, to get them through the parking lot, through a pathway to get back to that field.
This is
So,
where Murphy might be helpful because I know Anna did some of that work, as long as it's not too big. And she'll be an employee and, Murphy might be able to take on some of those. A lot of them are not that big. I think there's only one
yeah,
mature tree and we can always call Woody Service. That's what we do. So if we need something big taken out, but my
Something
guess
big
is it should
taken
be
out.
something that Murphy can, do herself or. you
Right,
know,
especially with our, yeah.
mhm,
we're talking about if you need something big taken out in order to get equipment back there or something big taken out of the field.
Well,
To get equipment back, because we gotta get a
Get access.
pathway
Yeah.
back there, because he's gonna need equipment to do the burn. We're gonna need to mow perimeter all the way, all the way.
So he
around.
needs to get basically some mowers, a mower back there. Is that-
We need to get a mower back to,
Yes.
make the perimeter, mow the perimeter. Then he's gonna need to get, a small equipment back there to do the burn.
it's actually kind of biggish.
yeah, I think he said it's like
It's like-
5 feet wide by 10 feet
Yeah.
long. It's called an Argo.
Yeah, an
Is that
Argo.
what-
Oh, an Argo is basically, it's like a dune buggy that has 6 or 8 wheels. It's
Yes.
just small.
That's what he needs to get back there, he says.
Right, the small
Yeah.
And
4x4.
as Maria and I walked
6x6.
the way to get back there, we were taking note of what the route could follow as we did it. And there's only like 1 or 2 trees that
Trees
are
that would
really
need to
in
be
the
taken
way.
out to make the path.
Everything else are, it's buckthorn and honeysuckle and.
Stuff you want.
Take it out anyway. So it's manageable we could probably do it with a volunteer, maybe depending on, we've done that before, but.
So we're making progress on that, though. That's great.
Yeah, we're making
Yeah.
progress, and then making progress, thanks again, Chris. And, Rita, we got the sign up, so there's a picture of the sign, recognize the Van Curler Preserve, so good job.
Yeah.
Always good to see.
And I
you.
believe Rita had mentioned that she saw a bike on the path, so we had the steward go out there, we've got some laminated signs, we'll put them up at all the parks and preserves that there's no bike riding.
Just as I was going in, a bike just went and disappeared.
Well, are they or aren't they? Where
There's
does-
no signage that says.
I know, but why are not bikes allowed in preserves?
Erosion, maybe the paths would require more maintenance and.
And the design of the path as it is, there's probably some safety issues.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere you can't really get out of the way of a bike if somebody comes line up behind you. It's just, and most preserves, a lot of preserves, especially with the county, do not, let bikes on. So it depends, something we need to
Yeah.
work on, and what we had talked about before was doing a trail just for bikes, because there is space to do that.
But they do
So-
coexist 22 miles of DTE and 17 miles of Potawatomi. So you can coexist with
Yeah, you can.
bikes and hiking
Then you've
trails.
got bikers going counterclockwise versus the hikers going the opposite direction.
I'm just saying, they do coexist.
Yeah, they can, but I don't know, there's just a couple places in there and that may change with all these.
I have one
trail
comment on the
changes we have to
signage there.
make.
If we were to redo it, I appreciate the interns last year did the signage and stewards. But at the south end, there's a trail map on a post. And I prefer to have the north at the top of it.
I know, right.
That points down.
There's another
Exactly.
place where it says something like this way to return to parking. And I would say something like Joy Road parking lot.
Yeah,
because
exactly, exactly. I agree with both of those points. It could be a little confusing. Just those little
Minor,
details.
minor.
Yeah, the maps are very misleading.
Yeah, the maps are, and I'll flip it over, basically. So. Okay,
Alright.
good.
Next one, Michigan Recreation Construction Concept Agreement. We approved it last time, the agreement was signed. So we can start working with MRC, which sets out some concepts together for our natural play space, which obviously coincides with, talking about Township Hall Park.
Is that putting the cart before the horse a little bit? Shouldn't we design the township park? And then the natural play space goes in it? Or am I wrong on that? Like,
Well, they can go, I mean, he's just gonna give us ideas of what types of natural play spaces we could coexist out there.
And that's with concept two, where the park is not all the way across.
because we're thinking accommodating flyers, we're thinking soccer, we're thinking a pavilion, we're thinking a playground, we're thinking a dog park.
Are Eagle
I've got
Scouts still involved?
Shooting range.
Our Eagle Scout, I believe he's attending right now. I believe our Eagle Scout is on line. He's listening right now.
Oh.
Good.
He is here.
Well, I don't know about
One-
playground is the natural play space, I think.
We did.
One part is-
And we do have the black walnut for the natural playscape is sitting back there. We got from the Van Curly Preserve, so we've had it delivered.
Eric?
So anyways, I think they can coexist. I mean, figured out options.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving parts, but if you don't start, it's like chicken and egg. It's like we wait for all to the end.
Well, the dog park, I think is, there's a lot of people that want a dog park, but right now, I'm not sure the dog park is something we're gonna put in there anyway. I don't think the township is ready for that. That's a lot of upkeep and there's a lot to manage with the dog park, so.
I'm gonna push
Down the
back on
road.
that. I don't have a dog. I'm gonna push back. We put one in our subdivision and it ain't no work at all. People clean up, they throw it away, they bag their stuff. We have a little, what I call like a vestibule or a little lobby where you fence it off and they go in. And out, and we put a gate, like a 3, maybe 4 foot gate for humans. And then like a 6 or 8 foot gate for, 0 turn lawnmowers. And it's really no fuss, no muss.
I don't have a dog in this fight either.
I don't own a dog.
I don't either.
But we've had one in
That would
our,
get a lot more use than the flyers.
yeah,
You would get a lot more people in the community using that kind of facility as opposed to.
yeah. I think a dog park, right back, and it doesn't have to be the biggest dog park. And if you did it right, you'd have a dog park of one size for dogs that are over 20 pounds or over 15 pounds or whatever, and then a small one for smaller breeds. You really could do that.
And that would help avoid having dogs interfere with the flyers, there's a.
So people really like dog parks, and ours got,
And a lot of dog parks in the area are volunteer, like operated, so it really like does kind of build a sense of community because people donate stuff, bring stuff in, clean up, like there's a weird sort of community within the dog park.
yeah, I've heard that too.
Okay, we don't, that's really.
But I just think,
No.
I just think a dog park would be a desired feature and would bring people to here. And then while here, they might take a walk on the path or use the playground or watch the airplanes on whatever days.
I think it'd be a missed opportunity not to at least explore the idea of incorporating a dog park.
I think a dog park would be more desirable than a second second soccer field.
I do too.
Absolutely.
Although that, fencing creates issues for those folks maybe, but you
I
gotta.
don't think you
have
put the dog park out where they're flying the flyers.
No, I back there.
I mean, you put it right back
Yeah,
here,
put it
right?
Right here.
Right
It's
behind
right by
this
the
park.
parking lot. It's easy in,
Yep.
easy out, and
Right.
it's close to where the bathrooms could be
Right, for the dogs.
No, for the humans.
for the humans.
That's right here.
That's right.
So, all right, let's go on to Z Road pathway maintenance. So I think, Chris, we got a proposal, Z Road pathway phase one, the boulevard, boardwalk that connects Township Hall to the fire station. If you're familiar with it, right where Pratt lived, is probably 10+ years old.
Yes.
And we really haven't done a whole lot of maintenance, so we got a
That
proposal,
wouldn't,
yeah, the wooden
Yeah.
structures. For doing, I mean, if you own a deck, you know how you probably seal your deck, at least more often than every 10 years. It's probably been 10 years and not much has happened to it. So I think we got a proposal from
LJ Construction, who actually is built the first 4 phases of it. So they came out, they inspected and they gave us some quotes. I believe it was sent to you from Brandon McNeil, right? You guys got that, where it was, we've got, I believe, $20,000 in the budget for maintenance, and we're gonna start adding more money to the budget for future maintenance of that Z Road pathway. So.
Well, what happened is because there was no maintenance being done, now we have a lot to do.
Right.
And so it was like
Words.
28,000.
Roads that are out, there's cold patching, but there's still potholes that probably need some patching out there. So it's 10 years old and it needs maintenance.
So question, so let's say when we hire Murphy starts in, what window would she, I mean, she's gonna be in charge of parks, you are right now, but at some point, what dollar value does she have to come to us? Cause hopefully every time she does, paint something, she doesn't have to come to us. So do you know what that dollar threshold is that that director's authorized to do without coming to us? Or is this something that we need P3 approval and township board approval? What's the numbers, like 28,000?
That's what they had quoted. We may not, I think we've got budgeted 20,000. And we're gonna continue to ask for additional funds as the next phases for the future years. We may have to either ask for additional funds or cut some things out of that $28,000 quote. So
I guess since it's that high, we're probably gonna get more than one vote.
yeah, I would hope we do.
yeah, I will say from my understanding, LJ's they're the ones who know those pathways better than everybody else. And they historically, they said, have come in lower than any other bid, at least for the construction portion of the Z Road.
Yeah, they built all the
So,
phases, and they just
exactly.
built the last phase of the board of Z down to Delhi. So they know trails, but I think we probably need to get a second quote.
Yeah, due diligence.
Yeah,
If we can get somebody to bid, sometimes we call around
at
and
least we can ask.
nobody bids. Yep, we can make some calls.
And can they pick and choose priorities to sort of
Yes.
fit our budget so that,
Yes.
and then we can tackle more of it next year? Can we do that? Because we get 20,000 every year,
Well, that's what we set the budget, we can set our budget, because we never really spent money on maintenance, but we need to continue to put more money in for maintenance as we add more trail and more things, because it's like your car, the older it gets, probably gotta put a little more money into it, just like your house or car, right? Okay, but we could do that probably, so we won't take any action.
Right, we're getting more information. We'll try to get another bid. And then I'm sure whether it's Murphy or myself, I'm sure I'll be assisting her for a couple of months, so.
I guess with that, we have anything else besides public comment? Second page.
Well, I'm just curious what people think about the township park and what should be there. I mean, it's our land, they've used it, but we can't forsake recreation for people, citizens, residents at the cost of letting those guys fly for a few hours a week. I'd like to accommodate them to the extent we can. And so I think we need to go back to the drawing board and maybe kind of think about how we would, maybe ask for a design for a dog park that doesn't have to be put in right away. And ask for like a big soccer field and then a smaller, I don't know if it has to be a soccer field, it could be a frisbee field, or could get.
Right, but if you had these 2 soccer fields in phase 2, that's the same area they're using the flyers anyways, so why wouldn't you just put 2 big soccer
Yeah.
fields?
You would, but you can't have the north-south.
No, then they'd go east-west.
Yeah, I mean,
Take out this
you-
runway.
You need to re-envision.
We're not even gonna build a runway. I can't imagine why we'd build a runway.
Right,
Seems
yeah,
like a lot of money.
You're not paying for that.
Exactly. But putting in the two soccer fields where they take off and land today, I'm not sure you need the little soccer field, just have the two big soccer fields. And then it seems like they're out there 10 hours a week. You just schedule, you
I think so,
coordinate.
right, and then maybe a gate that, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, maybe, and I don't think you need asphalt all the way back there, do you folks?
No,
No, I don't.
there's not asphalt today.
Like, use that money for a fence and a dog park or something.
I think where they pull up now, which is, you know, along the fence line out
Do they
there.
drive back there or what?
Yeah.
And they unload. in the
Would,
back.
would we want, should people be able to, can you need a drive back there?
They need, the Flyers need that, because they got these big planes.
I understand
So
that.
that's why so they have a lock, they have a key to the lock and they drive back there. So I think, can't imagine that changing.
I don't like the idea of asphalt back there.
Yeah, so I kinda don't,
In major
either.
parking. But I think my guess is that we can make this work if we just have some kind of schedule. And we just have to, everybody has to compromise a little bit. And, you know, and how are we gonna manage the soccer fields anyway? That's something we kind of have to grow into as well, right? We don't have a big system in place for all that management.
yeah, we don't need to start with like 4 soccer fields when we haven't done.
You know.
Yeah. See a lot of empty baseball diamonds on places, you know, where, I don't know. I don't really know if there's gonna be.
Yeah, but a soccer, nice thing about a soccer field, unlike a baseball field, it's a good frisbee field, it's a good fetch field, it's a good field for, like, I think like a par 3 disc golf would be kind of cool. There are just a few disc golf holes would be, so, you know, that might get some use.
Sure.
So we could probably do that over where the runway was gonna be, because I don't think we need the runway.
No, we're not, I agree, we're not, and it's going the wrong direction. I think.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, just think.
Where they would need to fly is where they are right now, which is the flat center of the area. Because then, as they say, they're at the edges, then they can't fly because they're outside our right of way.
Unless
I didn't
they're-
fully, now I
They're
fully
flying over
understand.
people's houses.
Yeah, they gotta stay on our property. There, so,
It seems like a fairly narrow use that they have with a small number of people associated with it to take up such a large amount of a parcel.
The vision of some soccer ball going into the area where they would be landing or taking off too is kind of frightening to think about.
well, they're saying they're not gonna coexist.
Yeah.
They're gonna fly certain days, playing soccer certain
I
days.
think it could be scattered.
I
You could have a sign that says, there's someone flying here. Of course.
Yeah, these fields are
Playing
reserved,
somewhere else.
there's no different than other things, you reserve it,
Exactly.
you know, can't just go out there and something, don't have a permission for it.
People are used to that.
And
Yeah.
the schedule could be posted somehow so that they can see it's pretty clear when they can come back and,
I've gone over to the football field with a group to play soccer, and when the football team comes, we.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. They're
Definitely like sort of different perspective on this too, is that like part of building community and being part of a community is like, you know, getting to know people and know that there's different things that are happening in different places and like, you know, helping out your neighbor kind of thing, like, which means like you share space, right? And so I think that kind of looking at the concept of that shared space from that perspective is also could be a really good thing.
And I bet for the Flyers, like, more people was like, I didn't even know the Flyers flew out here, you know, you get people playing soccer,
It
like,
could
wow,
help.
on Wednesdays, I'm gonna bring my kids out.
Oh, yeah,
Bring
kids
them to-
love, right?
It's like, okay, on
Bringing
Wednesdays,
a lot
we're
of
coming out to
people.
check out the Flyers.
Yeah, don't even know that that exists.
Right.
Would love to bring their kids out to watch.
Right, so I think you can, yeah.
Yeah.
and things can change as we need them to. If the demand on one end changes, then we can, it's gonna be kind of fluid anyway. We're just growing. We're just.
So who's been the liaison with this engineering firm?
Reed and I with the DDA, the DDA is hired
Okay,
Johnson Hill.
so do we?
So we have not met with the DDA, but we will.
Right.
Okay,
we need-
I think we need maybe another version.
Okay, no, I agree.
Like the dog park, airplane,
Yeah, and
I
I
don't
will,
know.
so where the parking is on option 2, make that the dog park, that you're saying? Cause I'm not sure we need this expanded parking area.
Right, especially because we have it here, we have it there.
There's one thing about the pros plan too. It did not have sports fields as a real high priority.
So we're the proposed, the western strip on concept number 2 is where I think a dog park could go.
Where the airstrip is.
No,
No, where the parking
Oh,
lot
where the
is?
parking lot. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. of
yeah,
course.
yeah, down there, yeah, not with the ocean, yeah, like if it's up to me, I don't put asphalt there, it's just crushed gravel or limestone,
Right.
you know?
You can put a dog park in a lot cheaper than
But,
put in a parking
but
lot.
is that ADA compliant? That's the
Dog park?
No, dog park ADA compliant. No, the pathways, like, what we do as far as path
Yes, they will be.
with pitch and, you can only.
Yeah, I mean, the playground out there is gonna be, I think, yeah,
Okay.
we want accessibility.
No, because I've seen some paths that are they're old school paths in condo associations or neighborhoods that are pretty steep. No switchbacks and like, that'll have to be.
8.33%.
Yeah.
The level landing, 8.33 level landing.
Sloan gets pretty steep.
Yeah.
When you head towards that bridge.
Right, but those are not EDA, those are just.
Those
All
are
right.
surviving.
Let's go to public comment.
Okay, I know, Brandon's had his hand up for quite some time,
Oh.
so.
He's still there.
God bless you.
Am I unmuted?
Yep, you're good, Brandon.
Hello, all.
Hi.
I know it's been a while since I met with some of you at Almendinger Park, but I got measurements taken and I've made a blueprint over on Township Park using some flag markers, which they're out right now, which I wanted to be in Scio today to show you them, but sadly I'm out of town, which is why I'm on Zoom. So I wanted to meet with some of you on maybe this weekend or whenever anyone's free to go over it and see if you guys want to make changes. Pretty much, I do have some other questions for you regarding it. A few of them is like when you dig out the park and everything, there's gonna be a lot of excess dirt. Where would you want that dirt to be? Some of it could be used for leveling purposes, but a lot of it might not be used.
Yeah, I think if we get into these detailed questions, probably best just, with the subcommittee, Brandon, rather than some of this we probably might even have answers for. But it seemed like you guys sit down subcommittee, some of the stuff we can probably work through the details. And I don't know if you heard, but we did also hire MRC, Michigan Recreation Construction. And that's what they specialize. I mean, they do a lot of things. They build playgrounds all over the state and all over the Midwest. And they have a group that does natural play spaces, and they probably built 6 or 7 in Ann Arbor and other places around. So we're gonna need something that sort of locks it in, that this is like approved by someone, and they're a company that can approve a natural play space. Because we gotta convince the township board that, this is something that is safe and it's been done in other parts.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be working with them. And so it's similar design that, you guys have seen at Almendinger and other parks. They actually designed those, but we can work with you on those details of how your concept and their design can coexist as one.
All right, sounds good. Yeah.
So, Brandon, I think, Steve is out of town. I don't know if Liz is still out of town, so she's not here. She probably is. But,
She is.
so what I'm gonna do is, try to coordinate with you and, the other folks and, the subcommittee. And, we can just try to meet up at some point in the near future. I'll send you an email, okay?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one other thing I'd just like to mention. I look forward to the opportunity to meet the new hire for the Parks Director. When she's on staff, would she be coming to a meeting?
Oh, yeah, she'll be her job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
should be the.
Yeah.
So make sure,
Yep.
so you didn't have to go.
Hey, I'll be here, I'm sure, for the next couple of meetings, so.
Well, you're always invited, Chris.
She can be here for a September meeting, so if all goes well.
Good.
I think she should be You just tell us
19th, next Monday.
19th, yeah.
the 19th.
Oh,
So,
great. That's exciting.
I don't see anyone else with their hands up at the moment. Give them a second.
So seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 5:35. And that means 5:30, the flyers will be taken off soon, so if anyone wants to check out the flyers.
I cannot, but
I cannot either, but I'll look as I go out to my vehicle.
I think I'm all these stuff.
So, thank you, everyone.